Hello everybody, welcome to my custom tree tutorial. Today we are going to be going over how I built these 3 small realistic trees. I should note that you will need worldedit for this tutorial and voxel sniper is optional. To start off, we're going to be building an oak tree. I make a simple 2x2 trunk and then start bringing up the branches. Instead of building the trunk straight up, I decide to lean the branches in all different directions. As the branches go up, they get thinner and branch out even more into little twigs, just like a real tree. I try to do a lot of different branches on different heights to give it as much realism as possible. I want the end result to look realistic and bushy and not like a round circle on top of a straight trunk. I want to give it more interest than that. I'm carefully building out all of my branches, and when I have them where I want them, I'm going to begin on the leaves. So for the leaves, I'm using a voxel sniper splatter brush with a size of 2. You want to make sure you are G-masking air here so that you don't accidentally delete your branches that you just worked really hard on. So I'm going to be focusing my attention on bringing the leaves around the areas where I made the branches the smallest, putting nice little bushes in those areas so that I can still peek through and see lots of the trunk and the branches when I want to. I want to make it look like birds could fly through here, as natural as possible, not like spheres pasted together. When I'm happy with the result of my leaves, I then change out my trunk from the gold to the full-sided oak logs. And then our oak tree is finished. Now it's time for the willow tree. For the willow tree, we're going to be using much the same technique, except this time with our gold blocks, we're going to be dragging them down a lot more. So instead of having the branches be very perky, they're going to be leaning in a downward direction as if they're being weighed down by the leaves on them. I did a lot of research into what willow trees look like, and I found that after some practice, this gave me the best result. I'm doing sort of different tiers and layers of branches here, so that when I put my leaves on, I'll be able to see the curve in the trunk. Once I'm happy with my branches, I can then begin placing the jungle leaves in. So starting with a small brush size, I initially click on each branch, getting them in place, and then add more thickness to the leaves where I think it is necessary. I don't want to make these leaves too thick because I want to be able to see the droopiness of the trunk, and I also have to think about the fact that we're going to be adding more leaves to the bottom, so I don't want to have too many up on the top. Once I'm happy with my leaves, it's time to start thinking about those vines that are hanging down. So I'm going to start by making different heights of vines with my sponge and then placing a leaf block on top. I'm going to replace the sponge with jungle saplings, and then sitting on top of the leaf block I'm going to copy. I'm then going to take my iron axe and type BR clipboard -A -P. The -P is important because it will paste relative to your position when you copied it. I'm then going to click with this brush all along the bottom of my leaf bundles here, making sure I use a variety of the different heights to get it as realistic as possible. This part I just kind of did by eye. I clicked around a bunch of times, then took a look at it to see if there was a spot that was missing or needed more. Once I'm happy with it, I then replace my trunk with the dark oak wood. And there we go, we have a willow tree! Now it's time for the Japanese cherry blossom tree. Using much the same technique once again, I'm dragging up a simple trunk and this time making my branches fan out in all different directions, but mostly keeping them on roughly the same level. This is so that when I do my leaves, they can all connect together and give a nice rounded shape. For my leaves this time around, I'm going to be using diamond blocks. This is because I want to paint them in a bunch of different colors as opposed to just one color leaf. I use a bigger brush size on this one to get poofier, more fluffy leaves with lots of air in between. Once I'm ready for my coloring, I want to think about the shading. So where is the sun coming in here? Of course, for me, it's hitting the top, so the lighter colors are going to be on the top. That will be our terracotta block. After that, we use our wool for a mid-tone and our concrete on the bottom as our darkest pink. Then we replace the remaining diamond blocks with pink glass. And, of course, our trunk with some jungle wood. Hello guys, welcome to the end of the video. I just have a few more tips for you guys that I wanted to do in this form, because they're a little bit easier than with the replay mod. So the first thing I want to say is for those of you in a single player world or playing in a world that doesn't have leaf decay off, you're gonna have to use different ID blocks. These, for example, are not just 18 and 3. You actually need to use 18, 15 in order for them to be the non-decay leaves. It's very important. The next thing I want to point out is the difference between the voxel spheres and the spheres for worldedit. So for worldedit, we're going to do, so let's be our sphere, 18, 12 for oak. Air, for argument's sake, we'll do 50-50 first. Then a size of 2 because that's what I used in the video. And these are the spheres we get. With voxel, I already have this set up, we get a little bit more random and smaller amounts of leaves. This is better for doing trees. So with our worldedit, we're going to need to add in percents. So I'm going to do, let's say, 15% and 85%. And now we get a few less leaves with our worldedit 1, and this will be much better for your tree making. You want it to be not spheres. You don't want to see any of the spheres in your trees. So something like this, that's a little bit more random, is going to work better. Next, something I didn't add in the video because I didn't think it would show up very well, is there's actually something pretty cool that I did to this. If I replace above 159 with 38, 3, and air, I get some pretty cool blossoms on this cherry blossom tree. I just really like the effect that gives because these flowers don't have too much green in them, so I think they work fairly nicely. This also works on trees like this one for kind of a pine cone effect, a more fluffy fir tree. My last piece of advice is don't be too hard on yourselves. I know how you guys are. You guys are so hard on yourselves sometimes. Guys, this is my practice area. None of these trees made the cut into a video. Like, this stuff takes so long. You have to practice and really work at it and work at different designs. This is the first willow tree I tried. This was the second. I did another one that I deleted. And then there's one way over there that was the one in the video. So this stuff takes a lot of time, a lot of hours practicing. Don't give up after your first one. Take some time, really learn this. Develop your own techniques, your own ways of doing it that work for you. And I promise you'll get results if you practice. Anyways, that's all for me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.